down based on, you know, where I am in the moment. So sometimes it's 10, 9, 8, 7, sometimes it's 10, 9. Okay, so I have somebody come up to me and say, Peggy, could you be more consistent in your counting? I said, no. What do you want from me? You know? So anyway, I will count, and you've got to listen because I may not count in the same rhythm twice. All right, give me 2 examples of what you need to get done, how you get it done. 2 tables, 1 table, 2 tables, all the way in the back. Yes, give me an example.
Hello there, everyone. So I think the first thing we had to do is we had to go all the way forward to what the ultimate goal would look like.
Perfect.
And that was we wanted 100 members, 100 in attendance at the average meeting.
Okay, good.
And then we kind of work backwards to figure out how to get there. But then how do we know if we got done? We just tally up the score at the end and figure out if we actually achieved our goal.
Perfect, awesome. You get an extra one of these candies, just for being great. Right? Am I right? Good. All right. One more example. Right over here.
Hold on, Wendy. Coming over.
Man, that was like a voice out of, you know,
That was loud.
Game of Thrones.
That was deep. Yeah.
Wendy in Arizona, we also went forward and we figured we needed a full board to start. And so our succession was, we realized, we determined that there was time constraints for each committee and their tasks. So we turned it into, let's create a task under each committee and assign the appropriate person to do that. And so we have 32 in our board, in the leadership team, the full leadership team, to help with every task that we created under each committee.
Okay, so, great, love it. But I was kind of hoping you would tell me something that the chapter needed to get done, and not saying how many people I built. No. Oftentimes we think about building the house. That's great, except that if you don't know what you want and how you're going to live in the house, how are we certain that we need a full board of 32? I bet they do, but I just want them to articulate what the chapter's going to get done so we can show them that they need the board of 32.
We created a full calendar of events.
Excellent.
Way before any other time. So
Okay, great. So hang on a second. You're right. I want to tease this out because what happens sometimes at a board meeting when we're talking about succession planning is we go right to, I need 5 seats. If you're going to do succession planning, I need you to not go to how many seats I need. I need you to talk about what it is we have to get done, and then be able to say, who do I need to get it done? So I love it. So I can play with it. You've got strong shoulders, right?
I got strong legs too.
Whoa! Man, come on over.
I do hit fitness.
You know what? Why don't you and I just go out and talk? No. All right. So. A full calendar of events. I love it. What's your successive metric for those full calendar of events?
As far as the members, the
whatever metrics you're using that you can count that are meaningful.
We have about 75 to 100 members attend each event.
Okay.
Go ahead. Okay, that's our number that we go by.
Okay. Cool. Go ahead.
No, you want me to go more in depth though.
I do. Yes, thank you. Very good, Wendy. I love you. You and I. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
I got you.
Okay. Go ahead. Go a little deeper.
Joanne, you want to say something?
Oh, is Joe?
Oh, okay.
No. Joanne saying, no. I am not taking that mic. Look at that woman. No, she has dragons.
So then during that process, then we ask the task people, what do we need for each event?
Okay.
And create that. So volunteers, for instance. So we thought that how many volunteers we need for each event, and we sign up those volunteers way before that. So we know, we expect this many people are going to be volunteers.
So, what they want to get done is a full calendar of events, and every event they want to have somewhere between 75 and 100 people. Okay. So their metric for success is what? Attendance. Okay, great. But I'm hearing another metric for success. Anybody else hearing the other metric for success? Yes, having members engaged in the process. Thank you. I knew that was the case. Awesome.
I'm going to pipe in, Peggy, and
Yes,
say
please.
that Arizona chapter really took your micro volunteer,
I know. Heard.
and that's where they took it to heart. Because when Wendy brought this to me, that this is how they wanted to flip their board, I may have had a little panic attack and said, I don't want to say no. Let me just think, brainstorm this through, walk this through with you. And so kudos to the Arizona chapter for trying something different.
Right.
So.
Absolutely, and that's kind of the reason why I was giving that point, because if your goal is not only this idea of I need 75 or 100 people in an event, but I want members working this event, all of a sudden, part of what you're going to do in terms of who you have at the board level and helping you is going to change, it's going to define a little bit more, it's going to open up some options for you. So excellent. Thank you for playing along with me. You're welcome. Excellent. Now, I want to mention one other thing, just in case you missed this. The reason why I say, how do you know you got it done, is because, and those of you in the room who are not baby boomers will shake your heads, yes, I'm pretty sure about this. But it's particularly the folks that are coming into our profession now. Being outcome driven is critical. Don't put me into meetings. I don't have time to be in just meetings, volunteer meetings, where we're just talking about the stuff we talked about last year. If you want me to come and sit down and do something with you, it's got to be because I'm going to move the needle. That's one of the reasons why I want you to think, not just in terms of what we're going to get done, but how we're going to get it done, because then when you are articulating your succession plan, you are inspiring people to be involved and engaged. Does that make sense? Okay. And also, by the way, I should just mention to you that millennial research shows that 4 out of 5 millennials said, and those of you in the room that are millennials can check your heads, that they want to get involved in a cause or something that's going to make a difference that they're passionate about. If you can translate what is going to be getting done to that, you will have people say yes to you all the time. Okay? 2, map out the roles and responsibilities. Wendy's already going here, so this was good. So I love the fact that you guys have got somebody you can turn to and look at and continue this conversation afterwards. Because once you know what done looks like, then you begin to say, how are we going to make that happen? And you begin to map out the roles and responsibilities. The other cool thing about them is when they started mapping out the roles and responsibilities, they didn't assume all term positions, right? Right, exactly. So what they did was they said, we remember this. We need to get a more variety. And so they probably did something like this. They probably took the engagement continuum. Now, what's the engagement continuum? Who remembers this? Because I get tired of talking. Who can stand up and tell me about the engagement continuum?
Like, when you was me?
Do you? Yeah, sure.
Well, consuming somehow it's probably. Oh.
She's coming. We know that you're going to say some really awesome things, Eileen.
Okay, the pressure's on. Consuming would be a member that comes to a meeting that enjoys your content, etc. Promoting would be that word of mouth, where it's a member or an attendee that's having, oh God, you gotta go to HSMAI because they have fabulous programs. Creating would be maybe somebody giving you ideas or recommending a speaker or getting involved in programming. Serving and say, oh yeah, I'll work with the reg table or sell raffle tickets or help negotiate the speaker. And governing is when you're forced to be the president in Central Florida.
Yes, perfect. The reason why I have her speak to that and for me to show this to you is because in order for you to really begin to engage more deeply into your association, you have to understand that 60% has a lot of important roles to do. And if you think about it along an engagement continuum, instead of the hierarchy of your board, you will begin to find additional positions that allow people to come in and get to know your chapter, get to know your people, develop those relationships, and then get more deeply involved. So the engagement continuum just gives us a sort of a broader view of volunteering, and it helps us say, all right, so the key roles and responsibilities, and I love, I'm going to pick on Wendy for just a moment, because they have an event, but they have a goal of how many additional members rolling up the sleeves are going to be there and be involved. And the really cool thing is, if you give me a job at an event, I am much more likely to show up at that event, right? Doesn't it? So it actually is boosting, it's kind of a strategy to boost attendance and involvement and engagement at that particular event. And that's because what they did was take to heart was this idea that not everybody has to be governing, but we can get a lot of people in the creating and serving side of things if we understand what? It's about involvement, right? It's about saying to people, how do you want to get involved and participate in our organization? Don't start with the volunteer word. Start with the, what do you want to do from our chapter? How do you want to be involved and engaged? Okay, so here's another example. This is a national group, but they did this in a large part to help their local chapters get involved and engaged. They call these stages the engaged members, the champion. Listen to those words, because we're building a succession plan, and we can pull people into the pipeline while using the words that are going to inspire me. Subject matter experts, thought leaders, and strategic leaders. So it looks something like this. It's hard for you to read. You're getting a slide deck, but I just want to throw out a couple of things. They wanted to make this as accessible as possible. So what they did was they said that if you're an engaged member, your time commitment's going to be under an hour. It's going to be a real nice micro job. And then they gave you examples like follow us on Twitter, forward an article, consuming and promoting, right? And then we get up here to RAP's champion, and you're helping out at a local event. Maybe you're doing a video or a testimonial. So you are feeding our organization with ideas and content that we can begin to use. Subject matter experts means you're taking your expertise and you're giving it to us, aka you're a moderator on a campfire chat. Just as an example, what we're going to be doing later on today. Thought leaders is now you're doing an exam, you're a mentor, you're somebody who's giving us a little bit extra time. And strategic leaders are reserved for those folks that really want to get deeply involved in the organization. Come on. There we go. It is fueled by developing these kinds of roles. Now, what's the difference between a micro and an ad hoc and an episodic and a virtual? Anybody can describe the difference between a micro, an ad hoc, and an episodic? It's a vocabulary that once you get it, you can use it. Once you're using it, you're building your pipeline. So take a guess. What is micro? Small. Very good. Yes. So a small job. Give me an example of a micro job.
Folding newsletters.
Folding newsletters. You don't look like a boomer. Sorry, I'm sorry. So what will an ad hoc be? One time. So give me an example of an ad hoc job. That'd be micro. I love it. Yeah. You know why? Because I'm one and done. Now, am I just splitting hairs? Absolutely. But when you talk to somebody, I want you to be able to say, I need something done, one and done. I want you to understand that there are some jobs that I can get it done, and I feel like I get a badge or a ribbon or something on my thing, and I feel really good. Like when I bring the speaker in and you say, thank you, Peggy, from the podium. Thank you, Peggy, our speaker is here because of you. All of a sudden, oh, I served. You know, that was easy. I could do it again, right? Absolutely. Ad hoc implies that it's going to take more than a one dip in. Ad hoc, who said task force? Or task force or a small job like that. Or if you sat on a committee that put together the content here, let's just say Bart was one of the groups, actually Carrie and Stacy and Blair, all of you got together and you said, you know what, we want to have a session at the chapter leadership conference. We want to do it all about campfires because we're really into campfires, and we want to have topics, and you came up with the topics and you helped us out and you want a call or two, ad hoc. So I'm going to guess when you put together some of your events, you probably bring people together and say, hey, we just need a couple of thoughts here and help us out here, ad hoc. Episodic is something that is small but is done over and over again. I have a couple of people who are my annual judges. Every year, call them up, time to judge. Pretty cool, Peggy, I'll be right there. And virtual is allowing them to do all these jobs together. I'm giving you these words because I want you to think more broadly so you can build that pipeline. Once you have those jobs, we now have to get to the place where we are telling people what the job is. You could call this the dreaded job description. I would suggest that as you identify things, you don't call it a job description because I get paid when I have a job description. You can call it whatever you want, but I call it what's the job. And in my chapter, as a little sideway here, we manage 3 chapter-based organizations. None of them are you guys, but similar to you guys, in that they are chapters of a national organization. For my group, we don't have job descriptions, we have what's the job, and we answer 4 questions. What's the charge? What are our goals? What are the walls? What do I mean by the walls? Policies, budget, requirements. You see, we don't define, I don't say to them, here's last year's conference program, just go ahead and do this. Instead, I say to the team that's working that together, Dana, this is the budget target that we have, and by the way, we have a member and a non-member policy, and unless you can come back with another example or whatever, we're going to live by that policy for the moment. I give them the walls. Oh, and by the way, it's going to be a June conference, so you got to make it happen in June. Right? And then, what's done look like? Because if Dana doesn't know what I'm expecting, then I can't hold her accountable at the end of the day. I made that mistake one year. I know, we have to all learn. Awards program. And I said to the person, we're just looking for a really cool night, lots of stuff. It'd be great if we could make some money. Yeah, that didn't work so much because I said it could be great, and we lost $2,000. After that, I became much more specific. So this is tempered in the fire of experience, okay? Take a few minutes at your table. Pick one, not board, not committee chair per se. I'd like you to go to the committee level if you can, right, or lower. Pick one position or role or job that you've got in your organization and answer those 4 questions for it. So let somebody at the table say, here's the position I have, and then you guys ask that person these questions until you get those answers, and you only have about 3.5 minutes. Leon, is that enough time? Perfect, let's go.
We'll help you out. I'm probably going to say, only because I experience a lot, is going to be through communications with social media. But a lot of the situations I get into is, we want to do an event. Here's the event, it's going to be in July. That's great. Well, I don't know, we're thinking about, let's do a bar, and let's do a themed water park, or let's do, that's great. What kind of event would you like to host? Because I have to create ads, I have to create flyers, do all this work to be able to get it out and about and actually start selling and marketing this thing. And so, I don't know, I guess does that work for this example?
Yeah, I think that's perfect with the special event committee, because you chair that, and I'm on that committee with him as well.
Right.
And so each year the charge is we want to hold a silent auction fundraiser for our charity of the year. Our goal is to raise as much money as we can, but we don't. Maybe this year we should try to put a financial goal. We wanted our financial goals to be last year.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, so in no certain terms, as long as it's more money than we made last year.
Yeah.
The walls are our budget for putting on the event, how much money we have to throw a party, other silent auctions in town, time of year, who's going to donate, what items are they going to donate, and what does done look like? I mean,
Final number, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, after last year, we did tweak it so it wasn't so much on the focus on the money. The money was a part, but it was also bringing awareness to the organization, what they do. The Humane Society for Pikes Peak Region, so it was all about the animal shelter, adopting pets and things of that nature.
yeah.
data, if you just do that, you're better at doing this.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think that that's something that we can work on going forward for our special event with these parameters. Let's set some goals. And what does that look like when it's done?
Yeah. In the conversation that I had over dinner last night, I got a shocked look when I went over and asked that we always look at these things from the benefit of what we're trying to do for ourselves. You know, what's the benefit of the monetization, of the increased attendance, and so forth. And I threw to the young lady, did you ever start a question with somebody, being from hospitality, what are you looking for and what can I do for it? And everything you just referred to is probably for every event that goes on, is you're always looking at it in the context of progression of discussion. What's the concept? What am I going to build for it?
Right.
What's the next? But have you ever walked out and said, look, how is this going to benefit the people that are going to give us stuff? Like,
right.
You know, they're going to give us an auction thing. We always hit up the same people, free room nights here, free restaurant here, free that there. What is it that they want? What is it that they would like to see from their engagement with us? And you might find it has been successful from that that they actually want to give more when they realize there's a value proposition to why they give at the beginning. Like we were talking about data share, like no kill show, but we reached out to them and said, look, we feel
so I'm
that
going to give you 30 more seconds.
Right.
So maybe if we could promote what you're doing and in turn you promote our relationship with you, we both together can actually be better for it. That same question going into the process of you're doing a silent auction. If I'm going to give something to your silent auction, what should I be seeing from it?
Right.
Am I really doing it just to do it, or am I doing it because I'm really getting in front of somebody that I think is going to benefit why I'm doing it?
Maybe do like a social media campaign, like 30 days of shout outs or something.
Or actually reaching out to them from a database relationship and saying, look, we're going to augment what you're doing for us with our audience. We're going to show that you're supporting what we're doing. And the shout outs, obviously, that's a huge challenge. Being able to go over and do that at such an early stage of storyline. Because as you do with social, storylines are everything. As far ahead as you can get the conversation going, and then you get to the conversion point, that's the value.
3,
Right. Oh, yeah.
1, come on back to me. All right, I need one example. What table would like to stand up, say the position, and answer those 4 questions? Right over there, perfect. Oh, she's about ready to smack you. Just so you know.
Hey, so we said that our charge, we narrowed it down to social media component. We want to explore other channels that we're not currently using. And so what are our goals? Why are we doing this? Is because we want to, we need to identify where we're not currently reaching our target audience, where there's opportunities. And we want to increase our following, so we have more attendance at our events. And ultimately, we want to have a plan to integrate those new channels into our existing social media and content and all of our sharing. The walls are budget potentially if there's cost involved. Our resources, our people who's going to do this, as well as time, because the more we bring on, the more work there is at the end of the day. And then what does done look like? We said it's ultimately we will have a calendar that outlines all of our content that we want to share for all the channels that we have so that it becomes a machine at the end of the day.
Okay, good. Any comments or thoughts or reactions to that? Just go, no, I'm not going to say anything, because then if I'm wrong, I'll be like Wendy, and she'll start asking me all these questions. I understand. I can feel a little overpowering. It's okay. Yes, please, Julie.
Okay, so what are the walls?
Yeah.
Would we also send that on to, hold on.
I'm seeing the walls, and when they were talking about content, wouldn't it be explaining what type of content and what you can put on, what you can't put on? Because,
yeah, they're
things
certainly
can be put out there that you don't want put out there, so, the content has to be related to such and such, or, this or whatever, not just you know, look at pretty cats dancing or whatever.
You don't like cats dancing? I'm just kidding. Good. Thank you for bringing that up, because yes, that would be a wall when you say we have a policy around what kind of content we are going to be sharing or allowed to be sharing. And that's really important, particularly if you say to somebody, you're going to be my social media coordinator or my social media champion, I need you to understand what we find is acceptable. So absolutely, if you had a policy like that, which you should have a policy like that, that would be extremely useful to give to this particular person. Another wall in this case is you might follow the effective practices and say that we're really looking for a ratio of sharing that has about 10% promotion, about 20 or 30% copy that we produce, and the balance of that is copy that's curated and shared. So just even by giving folks some of those areas, some of those quote-unquote walls, it allows that person to be able to deliver exactly. So good question. Thank you, Julie. Anything else about that example? You're pushing. Now don't argue with me, because I don't have a lot of time to argue, because I got to get to the dollar. So come on now.
No arguments. Augmentation to the conversation. It came out of two conversations. We just had this one again, and we had one last night. We're in the hospitality industry, and because of that, it's an art of service, the heart of servant. Yes. We should always predicate most of these conversations. We have our own goals and our own sets, but what about going out and reaching out whenever you're having a goal, and what is it I can offer to somebody I'm asking to participate? We had an example of a silent auction and needing participation. We always ask for things, but we never really translated first into the question, what can I give you? What are you looking for? And then how is it that I can provide that in the context of rules, regulations, walls, guidances. Right. We don't want to give ourselves away. We have to translate that into a value proposition for ourselves. Absolutely. It talks about data sharing and taking the fact that you see symbiotic relationships with organizations. You would be surprised if you phrase the question first, what can I do for you? How much of what they're willing to give back when they realize it's a value proposition to themselves, and if they can craft what it is they give you in a way that's beneficial to them, it's hard to keep it in containment at that point, because then you don't want to focus on just those people. Right. So if you phrase it from what can I do for you, and then translate it into what it does for us, you'll find that you have very few barriers about finding what you need to provide these service profiles.
Excellent, thank you, because that brings up number 3. Wonderful segue, thank you very much. Because at the end of the day, part of what we're doing is making sure that people understand what that quid pro quo was, but more importantly, putting it in the context of what's important to them. Because the worst thing we can do, and what will interrupt our succession planning pretty radically, is we get somebody in the wrong position. It's in the wrong position because it doesn't give them what they need, a wrong position because they don't have the skill set to give us what we need, right? It's a wrong position because it just doesn't fit that individual. And so part of under 3 is activating orientation, onboarding, and training, but starting with the individual, starting with finding out more about that individual. In fact, that's where one of the most important strategies that you can employ is the talent scout. Is the person who is out there talking with folks, learning about them, and then plugging them into the right position. Many of you have a membership chair, right? How many of you have a volunteer chair? I love that. So when did you guys have one now? Do you have a talent scout now? Okay. Did you hear that word? Yeah. Oh, I love that. Awesome. So let me give you a little hint of how this might work, because it picks exactly up on what he's talking about, starting with the individual. So here's some examples from a national organization. It's a Google Doc. It's super, super simple to use, right? It's a Google Doc. It comes off of this website. So they have a page. Notice how their page does not say volunteers, it says get involved. Critical number 1 piece. Talks about this. It gives you some links. The one link will take you right to the Google Doc, which will ask a few, perfunctory questions you have to ask. But this is where you get to understand the individual, because you ask them, what are the skills and the expertise you can bring to us? Right? We're not starting with, by the way, we have a director of communications available, and you're young, so therefore you would know about digital communications. Can you take that job? don't laugh, because you know, some of you have felt that when you saw someone young walk in. Ooh, you could do our Twitter account, couldn't you? No, see? That's the reason why we gotta do this, because Elizabeth cannot do Twitter. The point is here, you'll notice how there's... This is obviously not an HSMA chapter. Otherwise, it wouldn't say biosafety, transgenics, and those things. Put in your words for that. But you're not saying, do you want to be on the communications committee or the meeting planning committee, or do you want to be on the education committee? No. You're not giving a list of committees. You're saying these are the kinds of things we'd like people to do. Communications, speaking, being a subject matter expert. Do you have a particular interest? So it could be sales, marketing, or revenue, right? You're asking them, what is it that they're going to bring to the table with them when they come so that you can get them in the right place. Then you follow it up with a question about your passion. What are you passionate about when we talk about this industry or profession? So here I'm finding out, wow, what makes this person tick? How am I going to get them into a place that's going to work? So when I come and I say to Alana, I said, geez, you told me on this great form when I took a look at it, you told me you were really interested in communications, and you also mentioned to me that your passion was on marketing. And so turns out that what we're trying to do is a couple of blog posts for our publication in advance of a session we have coming up. Can I get you in the same room with the speaker we're going to have and have you just interview this person and just write up some of this stuff?
Yes, because I'm a travel writer too.
See what I'm saying? I knew it. You know what I'm saying? You and me. We were there. All of a sudden, now, you take his point and you close it home. And I understand that you are really trying to get involved in this based on some of the information you filled out. Do you understand that you'll get a byline on this? And that byline you can then share and take to the next place that you want to write for.
Right? Put it on my CV.
Exactly. Put it on your CV. So you see how that worked out? I can't have that conversation if I don't know about you, right? And finally, what interests you or how much time you can commit, this just helps you understand a little bit more before you come up to somebody and say, will you be on the board? To find out that, well, actually, you've got you've got a set of twins at home, and you've got, you don't, do you? I was going to say, that would be totally cool if I got that. Wouldn't that be kind of, anyway. That's what twins, and I don't have that time. So now already I've asked you something. Here's the problem with the pipeline. When I ask you a question because I don't know better and you say no, what have I helped you do? Practice declining. Right. So the next question I ask for you, you're emboldened now. You know how to say no, right? I don't want you to say no. I want you to say yes. So part of this process of bringing you into the pipeline is making sure the questions I ask you, Matthew, are the questions that you can say yes to me. And if I don't get a yes, I might get a maybe. But still you're not practicing the no in front of me. So I'm able to pull you into the process. Make sense? Once you've got the person in, part of what you're doing is giving them the tour. This is the way I think of orientation, onboarding, and training. Is I sit down with somebody and I go through all of these really important pieces, and I make sure that as part of this really important pieces that I've got. It doesn't work. Okay, I'm used to being able to. I make sure that I've got create the portal going for me. So in other words, everything I tell you as a volunteer, I can send you to, I don't know, a Dropbox. I can send you to Google Drive, right? I can send you someplace, right? So that there's no question. Because when Bob gets really busy at work, the one thing that Bob finds out is that he loses track of where he is in that volunteer role, which, by the way, isn't the most important one because he has metrics of the job. So he realizes there was something I was supposed to do. And he can go onto that Dropbox and find that wonderful calendar of events that said he should have had something done by today. Now you can have the communication because Bob's going to go to Wendy. Wendy's going to say, well, you missed it, but this is how we can fix it. And all of a sudden, there's that great opportunity to bring the project in line.
We use Basecamp.
Awesome. Basecamp is a great tool. Anybody else use Basecamp? because you would shoot yourself in the head. Yes, I saw that. How many of you have a Dropbox account or a Google Drive that's set aside for your volunteers? Perfect. How many of you don't know what Google Drive or Dropbox is, or Basecamp, and you're sitting here going, I wish you could just be quiet. No one's going to offer. Okay, great. Okay. A few other quick things I want to mention about giving me the tour, and that's the last one and the middle one. Let's go to the middle one, cover the organizational structure and norms. One of the reasons when we asked volunteers in this survey why they stopped volunteering, one of the reasons was because they couched it in different words, but in sessions what they were saying is I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know how to work with these people. In other words, I didn't know the culture. I didn't have a sense of, I got to the call on time, and I was the only one that got to the call on time. I didn't understand that really that was okay, because I hung up after 5 minutes, but everybody else came on in 6 minutes. Now, that's a problem we have to deal with, but my point is, let people know what to expect and help them understand how you guys work. So if you have a Dropbox and you say, we're going to update this once a month, tell them the day they're going to update so they know how to get in touch with you. It's the norms, it's how do we work, it's the policies, it's the procedures, yes, but it's also how do we interact. The last one is talk about these things all the time. So what do you think I mean by that?
Bring it up in conversation, meetings, reiterate it with folks as you're speaking to them about tasks.
Absolutely. Reiterate it, bring it up as we're talking about tasks. Say, remember when we talked about measurable goals and defined outcomes, and that will always be in the portal. When you send out a meeting minutes for your board meeting, it does not have all the attachments. Why? Because Matthew is traveling on his phone. If that's all the attachments, something may get dropped off of it. Instead, it has the link to the Dropbox. It's training people, getting people to understand where to go and how to navigate the program. How to be a really good, effective volunteer. All right, I'm going to ask a question for you guys. I'm going to give you, it's a rapid fire. You have 90 seconds at your table. 90 seconds. I want you to have a quick conversation about what is in your onboarding program. What is in your onboarding program? 90 seconds. Ready. Go. Matt needs more time, he says.
When you onboard somebody, you give them, so we have a commitment. We've just started a commitment letter. Yeah, so we have a commitment letter that states what we expect from each board member, and then because in order to be on the board, they have to provide something back to us. We have 4 options within that they can choose one option. So yeah, we've just the commitment letters have only just gone out, so I'm still waiting for them to come back.
And when you say 4 options, what do you mean by they have 4 options?
Well, it's because it's an advisory board. They host, so when we do our events, there's nothing coming out of HSMAI.
Okay.
So if there's somebody at the hotel level, they actually get to host the event.
Okay.
If somebody hasn't got conference space, so they're from a hotel with no conference space, they also have an option of bringing 10 members a year to the table, paying $1,500, or paying for a speaker and their travel and accommodation.
Got it.
But most of them I'll actually host.
Got it.
So so we offer, so that's the 4 options. So that's different because obviously we're advisory only.
Yeah.
So
that's neat. I know we have a letter of commitment. I'm new to the board as of January. So
did you get it on board? Did you get anything?